Deathwatch.
Hi, I'm Chris, your game master for this session 4 that is, of Prophecies of Dusk and Dawn. And today I'm joined with my usual merry men. We'll start on my left here.
And I'm Brandon, playing Landon Velox, a young nobleman in a rush to save his hot-headed, probably psychotic, sociopathic, murderous brother, Jared, who's fallen afoul of a lord.
I'm Travis. I'm playing Hadrius Ordius, the merchant, soon-to-be great merchant, and I'm counting on the law of free trade to get us past. And armies, certainly, they will not stop us.
And I am John, playing Dane Glass, who is also relying on free trade to make him become a free man.
If we get stopped, we'll be like, what are you, some kind of commie?
As you just re-enslave me and sell me for your freedom.
All right, I'll make note of it.
What if I sold you this, man? Yeah,
I've got this person here. You give me my freedom, and he's yours. I don't know. Does he
Alrighty.
do anything?
He kind of just sits there.
Just lays in the wagon.
I think he's a clockmaker. Alrighty. Man, I don't know what it was, but that was kind of a stunted opening for me. I apologize. But I guess we'll move right along here. So, a young boy of about the age of 3 sat on a low stone stoop. The door behind him led to the castrum's kitchen, and from inside the smells of baking bread and roasting meats came wafting out, filling the empty practice yard with their pleasant aroma. The boy paid little heed to these smells, for his attention was on the small tray in front of him and the tiny kitten that had begun pawing at the boy's offering. Would it pick the dried fruits, the clotted cream, or perhaps the dried fish? Without thinking, the boy reached down and plucked a raisin from the tray and quickly plopped it into his mouth. As he chewed, he reached out with the very same hand that plucked the raisin and scratched behind the kitten's ears. He was immediately rewarded for this by the kitten purring and pressing its head into the boy's tiny hand. The boy was so enchanted by this that he didn't hear the sounds of small footsteps coming up from behind him. "Landon, my dear brother, what is it you have there?" Landon froze. He didn't know why he froze. He just knew that it's what you did when a monster was nearby. At least that's what Bryn, his nanny, told him. "Little lamb, listen well," she would say. "If a demon or a bugaboo come for you in the night, you hold still. Don't even breathe, and it'll pass you by." Then she would smile and give him a hug and a quick ruffling of his hair. Landon didn't know what a demon was, or a bugaboo for that matter, but he was pretty sure that Gerard was a monster. Behind him, the sounds of movement was the only warning he had before Gerard's arms snaked their way around his neck in a hug. To the rest of the people in the cast room, it would appear to be the loving embrace between two siblings. But to Landon, it felt like being hugged by something wearing human skin, and the very act of a hug was foreign to it. The hugs that Bryn gave him were full of warmth and some other emotion that Landon was too young to puzzle out. The ones his father would give him, though rare, would still convey the love he felt for his son. This hug had no life, nor warmth, and if he had known the word, he would say it had no humanity. "Oh, wonderful, Landon, you found a kitten." The words that Gerard spoke sounded happy, but from the corner of his eyes, Landon could see that Gerard's face was like a wooden mask. Landon had begun to notice that Gerard rarely showed emotion if he didn't have to. Suddenly Gerard's eyes swiveled in their sockets and locked with Landon's. "What's his name?" "Brandon. What's Landon's cat's name?"
Is this a male cat?
"Sure."
Whiskers.
I like it. "Whiskers. Oh, that's a wonderful name." Gerard reached forward to pet the kitten's other ear. The kitten responded to this newfound attention like most kittens. But it was responded well to this newfound attention, but like most kittens, it's soon overstimulated. It quickly wraps itself around Gerard's hand and playfully begins biting and scratching, and before untangling itself and darting away. Gerard had no reaction to the kitten's playful assault. He didn't yell or cuss it for scratching at his hand and forearm. He simply unwound himself from the awkward embrace and walked away. That was the last time Whiskers was ever seen in the castrum. The memory kind of fades and you find yourself on a windy, for the moment, a windy hilltop about half a day's ride south of Castrum Low. You can barely make out the armies that are forming there outside of the town that is around the castrum. If you want, you can do a spot, command, strategy, or idea hard.
Yeah, all of those are hard, or just
the idea.
spot? Let's see.
I think
Command at 30, spot at 32, spot, command,
strategy.
strategy. That's at 62. So we'll do a strategy.
All right. Oh, nice.
I got a special.
Good
What's
job.
that mean?
So, unlike House Velox, House Low doesn't employ actual fighting men. They make up a bulk of their numbers through conscription.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, you can quickly guesstimate that the men gathering around the southern gate, or outside the southern gate, outside the town, south of the town, that's there, to be around 2,000 to 3,000 currently. About 600, based on what you can see from the banners that are being flown, appear to be various house guards that fled with the nobles to Castrum Low.
Okay.
And they're probably honor guards and whatnot.
Okay. And then how far away?
It'll be about half a day's ride.
Okay. So how many different houses am I seeing here, gathered here, or represented?
You are seeing, I believe it's about 5.
And this isn't like people arrayed against.
Yeah, they fled from Alexander.
Okay.
Right. So they're on your side.
Okay.
Well, potentially your side.
Well, yeah.
Most likely their numbers aren't going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
That most of it, this is basically the bulk. The rest are probably in the city itself.
And did I see my father's banner here?
You can roll spot. You don't see him on the south side of the river.
Okay.
Which might be kind of troubling for you, because Gerard probably would have a couple hundred guards in tow.
Right.
Success. It's a little farther away, but you do see smoke on the other side of the river. Not like a conflagration, but like campfires.
Yeah.
So if your father is there, he's most likely on the north side of the river.
Okay.
This little spat that Gerard caused, most likely based on the way your father's message was worded,
Yeah.
has probably made Lowe hesitant to open his doors on that side of the river.
Right. Okay. Well, I need more information anyway, so that's where I'll head.
Okay.
I'll head to that camp and see what information I can get there. But it's probably best to make sure that I've got our banner high in the air so people don't mistake me for enemy scouts or whatever.
All right. So you have Chelsis give the word to fly your colors, the black and red of House Velox.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He barks a couple quick orders, and all the the flag is lifted, and the proper tabards are put on and whatnot.
Okay.
And then you take off towards
the north side of the river, somewhere where I can cross.
The only way to cross is through Castrum Low. It's built in the middle of the river.
Oh, okay.
And then it essentially has 2 bridges going off.
All right. So, that's where I'll go.
If I didn't. I know I did somewhere, but it's not here. The name of the town that is, or city, technically, that is around the castrum, I don't have. So let's see if we can generate one. But you did ask last time. The river's name is the Muros. Okay. Murus. It means the wall, because it is essentially unpassable save for this location. It's basically just all rapids, and then it becomes a set of waterfalls that will eventually lead out to the sea.
Oh, okay.
To the west.
All right. So yeah, if that's the only way, then I'll head in that direction, and we'll see what happens. Like, my intention is to go find my father's men over there, unless I'm called to Duke Low before we get that opportunity.
All right. So the encampment is outside of the town.
Okay.
Which I'm going to call, we're going to call it the South Pilgrim's Way. It's called this because people make pilgrimages following in the steps of Solar as he conquered this land and pushed demons back when he first came out of the crater that he formed upon falling to Natale Solis. So upon getting closer to the midday, you're now close, or you're right outside the encampment. You're able to actually pick out the banners of many of these lords. You can roll knowledge or etiquette royal court,
Etiquette.
or if you want a hard no.
Yeah, we'll do etiquette.
All right.
Success.
Excellent. All right, so you are seeing the banners. A lot of these people are lesser lords. How a noble title works is like your father is a duke's, and by default, you're giving the honorary title of a comitis. Comitis. It's comitis, and it essentially translates to like committed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a middle rank. And then you have a baronia for the lowest. You're seeing a lot of baronias. You're seeing House Leabo, Catullus, and Iakomos. And these are all essentially what the country lords, the higher ranking blue blood country lords, the ancient houses, would call city lords. These are titles that are almost handed out to just pacify or give someone a low ranking reward, essentially. These people might hold a small plot of land and no real power.
Yeah.
And they would pay taxes to the comitis, and then the comitis would pay to the dukes. So you're going to try to approach any of them, or?
No, not any of them.
Okay.
No, I'll just head on through and see if I can make it to my father's men, so I can gain some information on what Gerard really did.
All right.
What got him in trouble.
You pass through the encampment. You get a couple people looking your direction. Some of these looks you might find familiar. Usually Gerard's actions have brought these type of looks on you and your family. So whatever he's done, you've seen these type of looks before. If you want, you can give me another spot.
All right. Failure.
All right. So yeah, just a crowd of faces that you haven't really met. Gerard was sent to the capital about the age of 10 or 13 to learn proper royal etiquette and be groomed for rule amongst the royals there.
Yeah.
While you were sent to Mars Oris at about a similar age. He's about 3 years older than you. And so you learned from the magnates. And so it's more of a commerce thing with you, right? The money brings power. You don't need a title for that. And a lot of that is most likely because of how House Velix does things. And that is your brother's set to inherit. And when he does, you're expected usually to kind of relinquish your titles.
Oh, I got you.
And usually go do something else. Your uncle is over in the Near East and has a sizable mercenary unit that has been in your family for generations. And that's where a lot of the second and third sons go. They go over there. They're in good with the Sultan, and they basically get to make war. Most of House Velix figures that's a pretty good trade-off, and your brother gets to rule undisputed in his lands. If anything happens to him, or your father in this instance, it would go to Gerard, and then if anything happened to Gerard, you could reclaim your titles and advance if you wanted to.
Okay.
But all of these royals, you don't know them. They're all soft. So you pass through them without paying them much mind. You go through the town. You see some nervous looks, but that's most likely just because there's an encamping army to the south of them, and conscription has started happening, as Dukeslow has called his banners. And eventually you reach the castrum proper. You see, as you're approaching, a shadow of one of the guards on the, oh man, I forget the name of the top of the dang walls. It's not kerneling. It's, anyway, you see a shadow kind of up there disappear and a muffled yell go out as you're approaching. And by the time you hit the gate, it's been open on the south end, but you can kind of see through the courtyard to the other side, the north side, and that's closed and barred. But as you pass through the gates, or approach the gates, is there anything you want to do, or just pass on through?
No, I'll just pass on through and
all right.
See if there's somebody manning it that I can talk to.
All right.
I'll say, I'm trying to reach the north side of the river.
Upon entering into the courtyard, you see a well-dressed man with a small group of people behind him, servants that are most like they're wearing castrum or Lowe's colors.
Yeah.
And he sees you, he looks from you to Chelsus, and then back to you and makes a bow. My lord Velix?
Indeed.
He stands up from his bow and says, if it pleases you, follow me. And you see two boys that were standing behind him, most likely pages, other nobles' sons who have been shipped to the Castrum Low to experience training for their positions as they age. It's a common tactic amongst nobles. He kind of taps on one of their shoulders, and they both go running off to inform whoever of your arrival, most likely. But yeah, he offers you to follow him if it pleases you, my lord.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll just dismount unless he wants. He's on foot, right?
He's on foot.
Yeah.
When you dismount, older gentleman approaches and grabs your horse's reins gingerly. It seems like he has some experience tending to varying types of horses, one of those being war horses.
Yeah.
So you're guessing him to be an aged and veteran stable hand.
All right. So yeah, I'll hand the horse off to him, and then I'll follow, and I'll tell Chelsus to, see to the men and
see that they're watered and fed.
Yeah.
Chelsus bows, my lord, and he dismounts and begins having his men, or your men, dismount as well.
And so I'll follow this guy, but I'll ask him, what is your name?
If it pleases, my lord, I am Seneschal Oswald. A seneschal is a high-ranking servant, usually would work for the lord of the area. So most likely it's not quite like a personal butler or manservant, but he more or less has like the running of this castrum if Lord Dukes is indisposed or away.
Yeah.
So Oswald's his name. Do you need spelling on seneschal?
No, I got it.
I think I'm mispronouncing that too, but let's quickly cut over to, well, first we'll leave Landon following Seneschal Oswald deeper into the castrum, and then we'll cut over to Hadrius and Jardane, a.k.a. Dane Glass, on the 21st evening of Spring's End, outside the Sea Road Gate, inside the burned-out town that was once there, city that was once there. So, overhead, Luna is peeking through the clouds, though tonight she seems to be less full. I don't know if you consider that a blessing or a curse, Hadrius.
Find out.
Less
Is
bright.
she still watching?
Yes, she's still full, she's still watching, but she's just more distant. Perhaps something else has caught her eye tonight. Behind you, the sounds of the gate closing are echoing off into the night, and with a thud, it settles into place. So, if you wish, there is a road leading slightly south, and then it will eventually teeter off towards the east and eventually start curving around north.
Yeah, that's the way we want to go. I think I had told Ollie to look less like a fighting man so they don't confuse us for some sort of ploy by the people here. But I'll ask him, well, Ollie, I assume will be spotted by this sieging army. Is there some standard for signaling our intent so they don't just shoot us with a catapult?
They probably won't shoot at
Right.
a single wagon. You may be harassed and taken if caught for potential spies or message carriers, but it's hard to tell. The sieging army is outside of
The town. It's all burnt out.
Outside of siege weapon range, because there are siege weapons, ballista and whatnot, on the walls of the castrum. So there are probably 2, maybe more football fields, essentially, about 600 feet. 600 to 800 feet off towards the south. And they are currently, it's night, so you don't know. It wouldn't matter anyway because you are in the thick of this city that's all burned out.
Well, preparing for the worst, let's say we get picked up and they question us. I guess that's not the worst, but I suppose if we're dead, we don't have to worry anymore. But let's assume they're not just going to kill us and they're going to pick us up. it might look like we are message carriers if we're carrying writs that give us such far-reaching powers as the ones we currently have. So what do you think, Dane? Should we dispose of these before we continue on? They seem very useful, but...
That's also a writ of Lachlan.
Right, which is opposed to the army that we might fall in the hands of. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So
unless
my thought
you have
is
somewhere to store them, somewhere
I don't
secretive.
do much smuggling. We could try to find something, but I'm also trying to look into the future and see when this will be useful for us again. And the only way I see that is if we go back.
Well,
Because I thought we
Would be
had
useful at
one
Castrum.
more. I thought we
You
had
can roll-
another army or another
you can
gate.
roll your gaming. No, you guys are outside of
Yeah,
the spiral.
I think we'd be traveling through wilderness from this point.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
that might be wise to dispose of them then.
You said gaming?
Yeah, roll gaming, Travis, and also your mercantile, whatever your highest mercantile skill is. We'll see if you've done this road before with that one. Essentially, it'd be your luck.
All right, gaming is a failure.
All right.
And let's see what are you putting into that category, like the bargain and appraise?
Yeah, bargain, appraise.
I had one more that was
I'm trying to remember
specifically.
any knowledges that you might think would work on that. Let's see what your character sheet's got here.
What are my knowledges?
Player
Business.
business could work.
I only have a 5 in business.
That might not work too well.
So I would think a bargain but I could try business.
Or we could go with a hard idea or no if you want to do that too. And John, etiquette or knowledge with royalty would be one that you could potentially do.
Guess I'll try the hard idea.
Like etiquette, royal court, or
Yeah, that would work.
Nope.
Success.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, so Hadrius, any further potential use of the writs eludes you, and you've never traveled this road before
Yeah.
either, so you're not quite sure what to expect. You do know that there are small settlements here or there along the road. While Duchessa Sarchados doesn't have a actual city to her name out of the spiral, hers is down in the spiral proper, or down in the spiral, probably around right about there. There are still settlements that belong to her outside of the Cunabula. But Dane, you can think of something that these writs can be used for, and that is where you are going. Duke's Low is technically aligned with Lochland currently. They're both against Alexander, so you maybe could use it to gain passage into the castrum when you reach there.
Okay. So
And you are, I believe the letter said that that's where you are supposed to head, where you're supposed to go, that you received from your anonymous benefactor.
could I use knowledge? It doesn't have specialization into it or anything, but just design to try and figure the best place to hide something on this wagon, like be able to modify it.
You could roll it. I'll let you do that.
Special.
You think there's a section on the bed of the wagon that you might be able to kind of pry up and then just kind of recover with all of the inventory that Hadrius is carrying?
Okay. Yeah, I'll suggest that then, with a slight modification to your wagon, if you don't mind. We could make a spot that should be fairly unnoticeable if it were to be searched, although maybe not thoroughly, but that would allow us to keep these writs and not risk them falling, or us falling victim to the soldiers finding them if they, again, as long as they don't decide to tear the wagon apart.
All right, let's try it.
All right, what would you want there? I don't know, I've got mechanical, or what else?
Do you have any build repair?
Well, that is under repair, I believe.
Mm.
It says repair and then mechanical.
All right. Normally, I'd say that it'd be a hard, because the wagon itself isn't necessarily mechanical. But because it's a fairly easy modification, I'll just let you make it at normal.
Oh.
But oh,
Can I push it? As failure means that it's so
You break the
obvious.
wagon?
Well, it's so obvious
Nope.
that any casual glance will will find it.
Hey there, Tane. What are you doing to my wagon?
Or disable
Um,
the wagon, one of the two.
yeah, you can push it.
All right, success.
Always push.
Yeah. All right. So are you just going to do this right outside the gate?
No, I'll say we should get a little ways away from here, possibly a side street, just somewhere a little more sheltered where we can work without a risk of being seen. I'm sure there's lots of eyes on this gate.
Sounds good.
All right. Roll luck. Whoever. I think you're the same. So
yeah, I think we're the same. You want to hit this one? I think I got the last one.
Sure. Success.
Nice.
all right, Hadrius, you begin to guide the wagon around, and you go a couple blocks, and you find a fairly intact, what appears to be an inn, essentially.
Enough structure to
Yeah.
block sight lines. Yeah, well, while he's being busy with that, I'll make a show of ensuring the horses are prepared for the next leg of the journey. Maybe I don't not even have to make a show, maybe,
Nah.
since we're kind of pushing for the last little while. I'll give them some attention.
Ollie stands around. There is a stable, I guess. So stands around near the entrance to the stable while you rub down the horses, and Dane begins to make modifications to the wagon. Are you going to do anything else after that? Roll a 1d4 real quick, Jono. One.
One.
All right. So it's going to take him about an hour. He doesn't quite have the proper tools, and he also doesn't want to cause structural damage to the wagon itself. If you want, John, I'll let you have that down to a half hour if you don't care about making structural damage to the wagon.
No, I think it's worth the time. I do see myself as a bit of a perfectionist in any work that I do. I was gonna say is if needed, I'll try to scrounge around this stable or barn, whatever we're in, to try and find something that would allow me to make somewhat as precision cuts as I can. But I do not find it.
Most of the stuff here is just missing. Most likely the guy who worked the stable hand or stable boy, stable masters, fled with as much as they could take.
So
So you just can't find anything.
It's not like I have a royal funded lab anymore. No, just grab I don't know, like a pry bar or something, whatever's close enough to it to start.
Do you say that out loud?
Yeah, it'll be like a under the breath thing.
Listen, Hadrius.
Success.
You hear him muttering something about not having proper equipment due to having to leave it all back at the castrum, essentially, or it no longer being funded by royals, whatever.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. It just adds to the mystery of my cargo.
Yeah, he's just sitting there grumbling.
Occupational hazard, I suppose. I'll finish hooking up if I see it's taking a moment, and then I'll hook up the feed bags to the horses too for some oats.
Now, it is getting close to 1 a.m. by the time he's finished. Do you want
Right.
to keep pushing?
Well,
I would say we should. I mean, I'm not sure if an army would attack tomorrow, but I would
always.
feel a little better if we weren't this close to that gate, lest we definitely be called out as spies or
it
message
does seem
carriers.
a bit macabre to camp in a burnt out town, I must say. Perhaps we should just ride out and find a good spot. How do I think the horses would handle more of a journey? Because I think the last couple of days we put some speed on them to try to counteract that there was so much traffic on the road.
You can give me a drive or an idea, a hard idea.
No, failure.
Was that the full skill, or was that a...
Yeah, I have a -6 to my physical skills, so I had 30 points in it.
All right. You're not sure. You have been pushing them very hard. And if you are a diligent and caring master to those horses,
I would rest them.
yeah, you're probably leaning on resting them. But you do bring up a good point. You are in a burned out city, and there is about 1,000 men fairly close by that are probably thinking about assaulting it at some point. You don't know when.
Well, let us ride to the outskirts to some place that it's unlikely an army might pass through. And I think we have no hope of, if there are scouts on us, of outrunning anybody. Not in a merchant's wagon,
No.
anyways.
Wouldn't
So-
assume so. But again, that was one of the risks that we knew.
Yeah,
We knew
Better
when we
than the
crossed through there.
assassins.
Yes, very much.
So yeah, well, that's my recommendation then. Is just out of the town, just a good distance, I get within the hour somewhere, and then we can call it a night for the remainder of the night. Get a few hours and set off in the late morning.
All right. Roll spots. Also roll for Ollie, Travis.
I got a success.
So I got a success as well.
All right. So, you guys traveling east along the road, or some
Yeah.
back alleys? Oh.
Yeah. Well, yes, that sounds good.
So you travel east for a ways, maybe off the beaten path here or there, hoping that to avoid the actual main thoroughfare of this burned out city, because if you're going to march an army through, you're going to do it
Right.
through the widest avenue. You eventually find intact enough, looks like an alehouse. There's a broom stuck over the doorway. So it signals that whoever was living here at the time had finished brewing a very large batch of ale and was offering excess for sale.
Gotcha.
Roll a spot again.
Critical.
Nice. Do you want me to mark Ollie's
Mm-hmm.
successes?
All right. Jardine, a.k.a. Dane, you notice that off to the side of this house, it would almost appear to be like a doghouse or a very overlarge bird house. And there's a tray beneath it. There's a hole that would open up in the center. You know this because of that critical. You recognize this as it's a type of spider called a fate spinner. And these shrines essentially are made for them. They're considered a divine creature that Solar used during the war. And so people, when they find them, it's considered a sign of good luck. They make these little shrines out of them, and they leave offerings below them. So you take for that what you will.
Yeah, I'll suggest that we stop. Or I'll point it out. Hadrius, do you see that? I'll point. It seems like luck is in our favor tonight.
I do not see it. Dane.
You see it once he points it out.
It was next to the ale house, though. That
It's
we also
actually
noticed?
built onto it.
Okay.
These are like, they're an actual living, like they're a creature, like they're not some like elf or gnome that people think helps them make shoes or anything, right? They're an actual spider that grow about the size of a small dog, and they rarely attack humans, but they'll feed them stuff. And it's considered a sign of good luck and great fortune to have them living out in and around your house. They keep rats down because they mainly eat them. Usually this would be something that an inn would really like to have.
Right.
Taverns and inns, places where people will stay, churches, shrines, stuff like that would like them as well. They generally don't attack humans.
Well, I'll suggest that we stay there, but we also need to find an offering for it.
Yeah, well, we do have some supplies. We could give them a portion of that, or it, however we refer to it.
Yeah.
What do they eat? Only
Living creatures, or
living
close
creature.
enough. Non-desiccated.
I don't
Right.
think that it is in need of a new wool
Right.
blanket, but
given
maybe we can find and trap something before we move on.
right.
Perhaps the sheep that the wool was produced from, if only.
Yes, I was distracted. I was trying to ascertain if it would be legal for me to obtain perhaps the freshly brewed ale in here and add it to my inventory. Handy when trading with men of war.
So, ale in this era doesn't have a long shelf life,
Right.
right? That's why they sell off the excess fairly early. So if you can give me a luck,
100 failure.
So you
Hadrius,
find,
what is wrong with you today?
a
I'm not
clay
rolling good.
a clay vessel with a stopper on it, and when you pull that stopper off, you are hit with a foul odor. Give me a difficult Constitution roll. Was that stamina?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a difficult stamina roll.
Not gonna be good.
You begin to vomit.
Chlorine gas.
Jardine, if you are inside, you get to give me a normal stamina roll.
Because I was gonna try to look around and see if I could find something to offer this spider
Inside or outside?
outside. So I wanted to, I don't know. I imagine there may be something inside, but I was hoping that I could find signs of something out here.
Yeah. Roll a luck for me.
Success.
You find several caged, we'll go with rabbits.
Rabbit? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I will tend to that first.
These rabbits are looking pretty scared and fairly skinny now. It's been a little while. A couple of them are dead in the cage, but there's still a couple that are sort of laying on their side.
I'll feed if I can. I'll put some foods in there, whatever I can find greens wise, and maybe pour out a little bit of water for them. It won't do to put a nearly dead creature out for an offering. I'm sure that will bring ill upon us. So I'll at least try to get it as alive as possible before I give it to it.
All right. A couple of them don't seem to notice, but you get one that is strong enough to go for some water and eat some of the, it's like half rancid carrots that were left there. And it's just kind of been sitting there. Thankfully, it's been fairly cool, so they haven't gone completely bad. But you know how it goes with vegetables. Once one seems to start going, the rest will.
Indeed. Okay. I'll put a little bit more of like whatever I can, whatever is obviously bad, I'll break off and then just try to feed it the good ends, a healthy portion, so that if over the night it decides to eat as well, it can. And then the plan is in the morning, before we go, I'll set it as the offering.
All right.
But then I'll head inside and immediately cast suspicious looks at Hadrius. Don't know what foul odors you let loose in your own home.
The ale's gone sour, that's all. I'm all gulping, trying to catch my breath. But have I made this space unlivable now?
Yeah.
Sour ale. Vomited everywhere.
Yeah. There's the vessel that the ale was in, but there was also a couple other earthen jars that you could vomit into so as not to do it on the floor. But this is just a standard small house.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fairly livable still, and you can, there's a bed.
Well, I'll go throw the shutters to get some fresh air in, and this will do, Dane, I think.
Yes, I think it'll do nicely. I did find our offering for the spider, as we will hope that it's a little more healthy and he'll come the morning, though.
Well, good. We'll need all the luck we can get, I think.
How many more days travel do you figure?
Many more.
If you keep pushing, I'll allow for 1.5 on road, but about 19 days. I think, what does that cut that down by half?
Yeah, and I expect there'll be delays here and there, so as is custom when one travels, can trade in towns and fight off bandits. But it has been a long march already, so I think I'll retire for the rest of the night. So I'll take a light meal and...
Ollie gonna keep watch?
Yes.
Okay, then I will...
He sleeps during the day.
retire. He's a vampire.
Yeah, he kind of gives a crooked grin and goes, pays good enough these days, huh? Sleep during the day, watch all night. All right, so this night passes uneventfully.
I mean, I don't know that we're in need of any supplies, but I think that we could scrounge around beforehand if you want, although with the state of the ale jug that you opened last night, I don't have high hopes that we will find anything.
Yeah, well, there are cellars, well, not cellars, but pantries that
Right.
are meant for storing like long-term vegetables, but you do have a problem is that it's getting close to planting season, so most of the stuff is going bad anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I want to take any more time doing that kind of foraging. We'll just have to hope to restock at the next village we come through. I don't want to be taken for looters either.
Well, I'll go see to the offering then. You're free to join. As again, very, very good luck that we chanced upon this.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Hadrius might do in that regard.
You could do a religion, or if you're more of a secular, I mean, good fortune's good fortune.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I don't really know much about it, I guess. Failure. So, but I'll go along and just watch what
Yeah, and
Dane does.
you being from Mars Oris, you could say that this is more of a northern tradition.
An unholy tradition, if you ask me.
Right.
Spider, is it cute and fuzzy or long-legged, spindly, waxy?
Like a widow the size of a small dog.
Yeah,
Kill it.
the things we do for fortune.
No. All right, so Jardine, how do you go about this?
Well, I'll try to contain the rabbit at first. Well, actually, the offering plate is it's not like just sitting on the ground, right?
It is.
Oh, all right. Yeah, then I'll try to contain the rabbit, and actually, I mean, it should be used to trying to get things that come out. I just don't know how quickly. So I'll take the cage and take it over to the offering plate and put it there and open it up.
All right.
And
So the rabbit. Oh, sorry.
so
Go for
the hope is like with the door facing the spider hole, is that way it can try and if it tries to dart out, hopefully the spider can get it.
All right. So as you go to put this cage in the bowl, you feel like thin, silken threads brush against your hands as you're kind of busting through a nearly invisible webbing. So you set it down, you open the cage. The rabbit inside is still too sickly. It's kind of moving more than it was last night. But the what is it? The pall of death is still kind of around it. And nothing happens as long as you're kind of there.
Oh yeah,
But once
I'll
you back
retreat.
away, you almost immediately see waxy black legs start making their way out of the hole that's cut in the bottom of this, essentially a small doghouse that's been nailed to the side of this house. And then on a thin bit of webbing, it comes down and it kind of spreads its legs to full. It could easily encompass your head if it was to like want to wrap around it. And then it goes down and somehow gets into the cage. It fits through the small opening that's the gate, and just kind of wraps itself around this rabbit, and it lies still. The rabbit does, and then it begins kind of wrapping it up, and it's doing that for a little while, and then it pulls it up into the house.
As I will retrieve the cage, so that way
All right.
the next visitor or victim of the spider, whichever one comes first, isn't belabored to move this cage.
If I ever own a ale house, I'll just get myself a good cat, I think.
Cats are nice for catching rats, but they don't bring you luck.
All right. John, make a note somewhere. And you too, Hadrius. I guess you participated in this as well. Next luck roll I have you guys make, and you can choose when to use it or not. You can roll twice. All right. So now that that's done, your sacrifice is accepted. What's next?
Sleep.
It's the morning.
Oh, did we
Just woke
sleep?
up.
We've
Yeah,
already
missed
slept, Dane.
that. Let's do it.
Or
I didn't get
The
enough-
spider took it
Hadrius.
out of him.
I thought today was going to be okay.
Let's. We
They're
should
not that big in the
continue
south.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll get the wagon ready. I think we did plan to sleep a little past the early morning, so
Okay.
we'd be leaving in like the late morning, pushing close to noon, and then we'll just set out like we're supposed to be here on our way north
Okay.
and hope nobody notices us.
10 minutes later, you there, halt!
Darn you, fortune spider.
Alrighty.
It's because you mentioned the cat in its presence.
So we'll be switching over to Landon now for a little bit, but when we pick up with you next, it'll be 3 days, and you will have entered Duchessa's, Sarcherdos's lands. All right, Landon, on the 24th still. So you follow the Seneschal through the snaking corridors of the jet black, because the older castrums are made of the glass taken from the Cunabula. This stopped happening, as you know, because your castrum is likewise made from the same glass, because it just reacts to heat. It just absorbs it, and summers become completely insufferable.
Oh, okay.
So this ancient castrum is black glass that has been polished off, no sharp edges, and then they decorate as best they can with various wall hangings and carpeting, and sometimes they even paint over it, but not so here. Eventually, you can try to do an insight, not an insight, but like an idea, just a standard one. The layout is different than Castrum Fluminis, which is the Veloxian castrum,
Yeah.
but not so different where you wouldn't get an idea, right? They were all kind of built similar to each other.
Okay. A success on my idea.
All right. He's not leading you to the main hall where it would be common for dukes low to accept you.
Oh. Okay.
Right. He's leading you somewhere else.
All right. So let me see if I can
Kill him?
get some. Let me see if I can get him to open up, get some conversation out of him, figure out what his plan is here.
Okay.
I don't know what I would use.
There's a charisma roll or persuasion. If you want to be the commanding lord that you are, command.
What about
Etiquettes could
status?
work. Status would definitely work.
Okay. Let me try status, but I have failed.
You can push it if you want.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll push. I guess, the consequences that
He won't like you.
refuses to talk to me anymore.
Yeah. He'll poison your wine.
Okay. Success.
Success.
I didn't think about the poison, but too late. Yeah, so I'll just, I'll just ask questions as if it's a foregone conclusion that he'll answer me, about where it is he's taking me and what news of my brother.
Oswald doesn't stop walking, but he kind of slows his pace enough to where he kind of comes abreast of you, and he makes a bow, earnest enough. My lord is most perceptive. I was informed by Duncan the Younger, or it's like, no, he wouldn't call him that, by Lord Lowe, as you might call him, the Younger, Duncan Lowe's son, Duncan Lowe, but he is called the Younger, Lowe the Younger, Duncan the Younger, to differentiate between father and son.
Okay.
Has asked to meet with you before encountering his father, so that he may tell you himself what it is your brother did and prepare you. If I may be forward, my lord?
Yes, of course, please.
Lord Lowe, the Younger, has been most helpful trying to see to Gerard's our Lord Velix's safety. But I dare not speak on it myself. It's not my place to speak on what I've only heard others speak of.
Okay.
If you will forgive me, my lord.
Yeah. Well, thank you for telling me as much as you have.
Of course. And with that, he picks up the pace again to a more brisk stride and continues guiding you through the snaking hallways.
Okay.
Eventually, he stops outside a door that is closed. He opens it without knocking, and he announces you, Lord Landon Velix, as requested, my lord. And he makes a bow to an unseen person in the room, and then stands up and motions you in.
Okay. So what do they have on this? Let me see if I can get like a. What would I roll if I want to try to determine if this guy's hiding something, or if he's nervous, or if like I'm walking me into a trap or something?
I believe there is an insight skill under perception. Insight, yeah.
Let me try that.
Go for it.
Success.
So you're trying this on Oswald?
Yeah, right. Because I don't see anybody right now besides him. So
Okay.
I just want to see if I get a sense from him that he might be walking me into a trap, or.
He doesn't appear nervous that the type of nervousness that you would expect from a man who would be doing that. He is a seneschal, which means he's been a servant for a while. Maybe he's just able to play. Well, many of them are right up there with standard high-ranking lords that they serve as far as it comes to manipulation and subversion and various types of tactics like that. Many of them can play at the royal court as well as any other. But you aren't seeing that from this man.
Okay.
He appears to be uneasy, but you figure that's just the general state of the castle at this time. You're about to go against a man who has crowned himself king and is apparently assaulting and besieging the pontiff that you all figure is the voice of Solar on Earth.
Right.
It's not a fun time.
Okay. Well, then I will enter the room then.
All right. You enter a lavishly decorated room, black like the rest of the castle. It's beginning to heat up midday. It's not quite sweltering yet this time of year, but soon summer will be upon you, and this cast room will be near unlivable.
It's good building material. Smart.
Well, the thing is it's near indestructible.
Yeah.
Which is why it's used.
Yeah.
So the room it's a lavishly decorated sitting room with a small library running around 3 of the walls, which is quite a lot of number of books. The printing press has been invented at this point in time, but it's still rare to find this many books. A man in his middle years is sitting in a high-backed chair smoking a simple clay pipe, and it's filling the room with an odd floral scent. And he's currently standing up. Thank you, Oswald, he says, switching the pipe to his offhand and offering you his.
Okay. And do I know him?
This is Duncan Lowe the Younger. He's also, you can roll status, insight, knowledge. Depending on what you pick, it will kind of give you different information. Status will kind of be more like cut and dry.
Yeah. I'll try insight again.
All right, go for it.
Success.
All right, so the man before you seems to have really no ill will towards you at all. He generally seems kind of happy to see you, which is a rarity amongst royals, unless you do have some sort of lifelong familial bond or friendship. You're all kind of out to get each other and get over on each other type thing.
Yeah.
But from what little you do know, he himself is a family man. And he's also a bit of an odd duck. He doesn't take the comitus title. He instead takes the equest, the knight title, And looking at him, like as he extends his hands, you see no calluses on it. He wears a sword at his hip, but he doesn't have the grace of a swordsman. And you doubt it's something that he's lost with age, being just probably barely past his prime. He's early 40s, maybe.
Yeah.
So you're not quite sure what to make of that. Amongst the Veloxian households, or the Velix household, Equest is the equivalent of a baronia, right? It's a low-ranked noble for you guys.
Right.
You have no idea why this man would choose a lower rank to... Now, there is some oddities, like he could be a knight in another area, right? This was something that occurred. So, like, you're a comitus in your area, but you could potentially become a baronia here,
Okay.
right? And you'd be given a small parcel of land and stuff like that, and your rank would be baronia here.
Yeah.
But as for him, you just don't know. You can attempt a knowledge if you want.
Yeah.
It'd be royal court, no stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, he's extending his hand, and he's introducing himself.
Yeah, I'll shake his hand and then, bow to him and introduce myself.
Okay.
Even though his man already introduced me, but then I'll say, thank you very much for seeing me. I appreciate it. I've traveled far, and your hospitality is warmer even than this castle.
Yeah, they don't make these like they used to. Comes downright stifling in the summer. But first, before we actually sit down and begin discussing anything, I do wish you to know that I'd hope we'd meet under better circumstances. Not just this trouble with your brother, but the trouble with this upstart king as well.
Yes. Well, the same is true of me. I'm ashamed that I haven't met you before now, but what is the trouble with my brother? What is he innocent of, but no doubt being accused of?
Do you say that?
Yeah, but in that way. So that it's clear that I don't think he's innocent.
Okay.
Right. The way that nobles play with saying things that aren't said,
I had Oswald bring you here so that you weren't blindsided upon entering my father's, upon my father receiving you. It happened shortly after we had fled Natale Solis away from the tyrant that has become king now, declared himself king. We had just reached Castrum Low. I had fled with them, and my father opened his doors to us, and we began to feast and begin discussing plans on how further to go. Word was immediately sent to your father about this, Alexander, as he's taken to call on himself, and we had hoped to rally our banners and begin marching as soon as possible. And it was on the second or third day. Gerard seemed fine. Lord Velix, excuse me, seemed fine. But as the day wore on, he became increasingly erratic, slurring his speech. We believed he had taken to his cups a bit too hard. And then he announced that he would retire for the night. And for all we knew, he did, until the next morning when it was revealed by Duchessa Erica, my father's young wife, that he had found his way into her chambers.
I see.
I do not wish to go into detail about what happened there, or what is believed to happen there. Needless to say, he was found there, and the event that took place throughout the night was rather obvious. She hasn't talked about it at all, and she has taken to locking herself in her in a spare bedchamber. She rarely allows her own maids and ladies in waiting to attend to her.
Mm.
I had your brother placed immediately under arrest and thrown in the dungeon, and I have my own men watching him because my father wishes him gelded.
Mm. Yeah, and is that a common thing in this part of the world?
Well,
That's what would we do back home if we were certain someone was guilty.
Velix,
Yeah.
House Velix, they'd most likely be weighted with stones and thrown from the bridge into the sea.
Yeah.
But as Hadrius once mentioned, when a man steals from another man, you usually cut off the pieces that were used in the theft.
Yeah.
See.
Wow.
In hopes of maintaining some peace, I have kept him as safe as I can, but it seems like he has committed this act that until Duchessa Erica speaks on the matter, we'll have no true proof beyond what the chambermaid saw that morning. But she is a trusting woman and a long family servant.
And my brother was found in her chamber?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What has he said about it?
Not much. He hasn't said much to us at all. He says simply that he'll await his father's arrival.
Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done to keep him safe. Would it be possible for me to speak with him then?
Yes, but it is not. It is merely in the interest of keeping this alliance together. We have already committed treason, and I believe death awaits us if we do not maintain this alliance.
Oh, against this king?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that is no doubt very important.
So that is the only reason I have kept your brother whole and hale.
Okay, so what do I know then about my own father? Like, what do I guess? If my own father thought that this actually had happened, would he want Gerard to be punished, or would he still want to pull rank and say no?
Roll status or etiquette, House Velix. Ooh.
A critical success.
All right.
That was etiquette, House Velix.
There is some unsavoriness to any sort of politics and nobility. Your father's a very just man, even with his temper the way it is in the modern era. Well, since you last saw him anyway.
Yeah.
He was still very just. He would most likely go along with Gerard being gelded, or worse, right? This is a crime that is punishable and by death in most of this land.
Yeah.
And torturous death at that. But there is the unfortunateness that he is your father's heir.
Right.
And he does not have his own, he has not sired an heir of his own yet.
Mm-hmm.
There are a multitude of reasons why you okaying the gelding of your brother could be taken as a problem.
Right.
Because it would be seen as you attempting to usurp his rightful succession. And there have already been people that would be various vassals and, lower ranking lords that work under your father's or are under your father's rule that would have already be throwing their lots in with Gerard.
Mm-hmm.
That might take offense to you cutting off all that hard work, essentially.
Yeah. No, so for personally, so if I'm next in line, then that's the last thing that I want. I don't want to be the heir. So it's this Operation Keep Gerard Alive and Healthy.
Now
Commences now.
There is an continuing to be unsavory possibility, and that is if Gerard's seed quickened in the belly of Duchessa Erica. Right there, if that baby was to come to term, you have your heir, and you could leave your brother to to Duke Slow's capable hands.
Right.
And technically, your father would be happy and appeased on all accounts. He would probably be upset that his son was murdered, but this is the type of stuff you disavow family for.
Yeah.
And it would probably happen anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And my father is coming here, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. His army is currently encamped on the north side of the river. You don't know if he's here yet or not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'm almost certain he's not, because he'd be here.
Yeah.
Here, right? Okay.
You do, with your various status and etiquette roles, you do sense that they are very worried about that encamped army, though.
Yeah.
And that they maybe, that might be something that you want to inquire onto as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask about why the north gate is barred, and that my father's men are out there. So has there been any unpleasantness since this happened?
No, your father's men have encamped themselves to the north of the city, and they have been perfectly fine. But my father and I both agree that there are certain precautions that need to be taken. I hope you'll understand.
I do.
We did send messengers to them, and your father is not among them yet. And they informed us that we were to await your arrival.
Okay.
And that you would have a decision, and that you spoke with the authority for your father.
Oh, good. Well, that was a lie. I don't want a choice like this. I work very hard not to be distinctive, and I'm rewarded by being very forgettable.
He looks at you if...
Who are you?
Well, no, he can't quite tell if you're being serious or not.
Well,
depending on how much of that you said.
Obviously, I'll need time to think on this, but I do need to speak with my brother if that's possible. And what can I do for you to make this easier? I know you've probably, unless I miss my guess, you've probably been keeping your father at bay.
Yes.
And what can I do to help with that?
A sound judgment, hopefully, on this matter. Bring it to as closed as well as possible. We know that your father is a fairly lawful man from everything we've heard. And in fact, for everything we heard, we were rather surprised at Gerard's self-control until that night.
Mm-hmm.
So we suspect that, or I suspect that he will wish justice to be done, and hopefully will be understanding if it occurs. But I have children myself, and while this is a horrible event that has occurred, no man wants to arrive and find his child has been executed.
Yeah.
Or maimed horribly.
Yes. That's true.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, what you can do for me is just keep whatever peace we can. So, an impossible task, I'm sure, but somehow bring this to some sort of closure between your father and mine, so that we can continue with this effort. We still have banners arriving, and it will be some time. Currently, most of the conscripts are in training, so we still potentially have time. But when we left Natale Solis, we fear that Dukes Lachlan and Bellis won't have much time to hold out. So time is of the essence here.
Yes.
But Father refuses to give orders until this has been taken care of.
Okay. I'll do everything I possibly can.
Thank you, my lord. Velix.
But you, being he's the eldest son?
Mm-hmm. And heir.
Yeah, so you certainly can understand what it would look like for me to support, me being the second son, to support, this punishment, deserved though it may be.
Absolutely, but we can only delay so long, and if we delay too long, Alexander will rally his forces.
Okay.
Something has to be done.
Well, I need to speak with my brother, if that's possible, and then as soon as possible after that, I'll need to go to the north side of the river to speak with my father's men.
Of course, I can make that happen. And now with you here, I'm sure I can convince my father to unbar the gates.
Mhm.
You seem like an honest man, and
I'm very honest.
these
You wouldn't believe how honest.
these politics just seem to be a millstone around my neck sometimes, and I hope that you understand that.
Yes, I do. I've done everything I can to avoid
Yeah, you have said that, my
millstone being around my own neck.
so.
And so that would be his mother that he's accused of, or is it different?
You can roll knowledge, status, etiquette, royal court in that case. If it's a knowledge, it's going to be a hard or difficult knowledge roll, or no roll.
Another special.
All right. So hearsay on the royal court, which you are fairly well removed from in Mars Oris, but Mars Oris, though probably wielding more power than Domus Solis, is what they want to be.
Mm.
And so rumors upon rumors of what's the going-ons of the royal court constantly abound. And Erica Lowe, as she's known now, was a magnate's daughter from Mars Oris who went to Domus Solis in hopes, essentially, of finding a wealthy husband.
Mm-hmm.
And she fell in with Cassandra Lowe, Duke Lowe's daughter,
Okay.
and eventually made it to this castrum, where she did meet and hook herself a dukes, and thus became a duchessa.
Okay.
She is about 40 years his junior.
Okay.
So no, his Duncan the Younger's mother is deceased about 20 years.
Okay.
now.
Yeah. But still, he might feel some affection for her. So I'll, I'll tell him that I'm very sorry that this happened.
Your etiquette, I'll say, is enough to. He was probably the only of Duke Lowe's children to not object to the marriage. Cassandra was venomous towards the idea, and I forget his name. The middle son was indifferent at best.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find that for you real quick. Where the heck is it? Let's try here. Well, I knew I had it written down somewhere. I'll get it back to you next week if I find it. I'm sorry. I think it's Douglas, though, is the middle son's name. All right, so you want to go to see your brother.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, that can be arranged. My father will want to see you as well at some point.
Yes. Yeah. You think it'd be better if I saw him first?
I think that it might be best for you to talk to your brother and your men first.
Okay.
He is currently near erratic with his anger at the whole matter, and so I think coming to him without some sort of solidified answer in your heart would probably be just adding to his annoyance.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll have Oswald escort you to our holding cells.
Yes, thank you.
All right. He offers his hand one more time.
Yeah, I'll shake his hand. I'll give him a bow.
All right. He returns your bow, and as you're turning to leave, he sits back down and begins puffing on that pipe.
Okay.
Here. Oh. All right. So Oswald, when you turn back towards him, he's waiting outside in the hallway. He gives you a bow and motions you to follow him.
Okay.
Holding cells are this way, my lord.
All right. Yeah, I'll follow him.
All right. So this time, the snaking continues of all these hallways, but you start heading down various stairs until you are in the heart of the castrum. Here, it maintains a similar temperature all year round. It's not exactly cool, but it never really gets too hot either. Somewhat survivable. some of these older castrums, they do have secondary living quarters down here to escape the heat of the summer. And he eventually leads you to a set of doors, and once passing through them, 2 guards sitting at a table playing dice immediately stand up when you walk in. You would figure these to be Lo the Younger's men. And they give you a hasty bow, both you and the Oswald, the seneschal.
Okay.
And Oswald states that your intention, he's going to speak with his brother, open the gates, and they do. And one of them says, "Is at the end of the hall, my lord? Do you wish me to accompany you?"
So here I'll play the way above you, Lord, and I'll just slightly shake my head and continue on.
All right. He gives a bow and hands you a lantern.
All right. So I'll take the lantern and I'll go. He said at the end of the hall. I'll go down to the end of the hall.
So
hold up the lantern and I don't know, what is it? Just cells or door with a hole in it? Or?
These are all barred cells. The most of them are rusted because it's kind of hard to do maintenance on the non-black glass parts of the castrum because they know it's forgotten how to work the black glass of the Cunabula. So much of this stuff is kind of built to last and it just stays there, but it doesn't appear rusted through. It still appears to be mostly operational.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll go peer in the cell at my brother.
All right. So you see a man that you have not seen in damn near a decade. He's currently laying on a bench with one arm kind of draped over his head, kind of obscuring his face. His feet are towards the cell door, but you see one gleaming kind of eye peeking out from under that arm, noting your arrival.
Brother?
Landon. Father didn't come himself.
No, he's on his way. He's not here yet. Apparently, I speak with his authority.
Oh, great. Then you'll have me out of here in no time, he says, standing up. He has a odd grace to him. All Velix nobles are trained sword fighters, so you expect that much at least from him. So he walks over to the bars, and he's like, "Well, open it up. Let me get out of here. This place is dreary."
Yes, it is dreary, but surely you know it won't be that easy. I've come to ask you about what they've accused you of. Apparently the evidence is incontrovertible. What happened?
He rolls his eyes, gives an exasperated sigh, and kind of turns away from you. What do you want me to say, brother? He turns back to you. Huh?
I wanted you to tell me if you did what they said you did. They say you forced yourself on, important lady. Whose name is in my notes.
Erica.
Yeah. And you know as well as I, if that were true, and Father were standing right here, he wouldn't let you out of that cell.
I beg to differ, dear brother. But if you must know, the old codger that's currently sitting up there, angry at me, should be thanking me. I did what he couldn't, apparently. I took her maidenhead.
Oh. Okay.
Is that what you wanted to hear?
No, it isn't. It's certainly not.
No. Open these gates.
I don't have the key. I'm not here to rescue you.
You're not.
For some reason that I don't understand why, all the steps I took to get here, I was expecting you to tell me you hadn't done this and that there was a good reason why it looked like you had.
There's no reason denying what happened. Where I am confused as to how I got into such a state.
Yes.
I had learned some temperance in the royal court.
So are you saying you didn't intend to do it?
At some point during that night, I have no recollection. I don't deny what occurred,
Mm-hmm.
for I woke up and found myself in a very peculiar state. But I avoid most things these days. I abstain from strong drink. I abstain from that.
Yeah. It was said to me that you were acting as though you were far gone with drink that whole day.
I have not touched a drop of alcohol, of strong drink, of spirits. I've rarely even touched wine. To the best of my knowledge, I was drinking tea. Some sort of odd local floral tea.
What was who was giving you the tea?
The servants. We were discussing how our campaign was to go, how best to overthrow this king.
You and
the other lords.
Duncan the Younger.
Duncan, Duke Slow himself, as well as a couple of the Comatis and the Baronias that followed us. Go find Wesley Iacomos amongst the encampment. He's known me for some time.
And who is he?
Lesser lord of the city.
And what will he tell me? Why will I find him?
He'll be in the encampment to the south.
Yeah, but I mean, why should I go find him? What would he tell me that I'm interested in?
He'll vouch for my character, rotten as it is. But he knows me well enough. He knows I abstain from such vulgarities.
Do you think you were drugged?
I do not know, dear brother. But what would you do if you wanted a bunch of traitors to start cutting each other's throats for you?
I'm not sure. Those aren't the sorts of thoughts that enter my mind.
He gives you a look that says he'd call you a liar.
Well, they want to geld you.
We both know that can't happen quite yet.
Right. Yes, that's a predicament you've put me in.
He starts kind of looking at you, unless...
Speak freely. There's no one here to listen.
I just wonder if perhaps little brother has decided to set his sights higher than some magnate floozy.
Is that what you think of me?
He takes a step towards you. Roll, let's see what we got. We'll make it an effort.
Effort?
Yeah, just a normal. We'll probably change that later on, but for now this will just be a composure, essentially. Success. So he steps towards you in a way that should lead to like the drawing of a sword and a thrust, right? It's like a power play, but you see through it and you stand your ground, no problem, because he doesn't have a sword.
He's in a cell, yeah.
But it's one of those where you're expecting. He started doing this type of stuff towards the end of his stay at Castrum Fluminus, right?
It's like a bullying tactic.
Yeah.
It used to work on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he does this and he wraps his hand around the bars. Where was I going? Was it?
Yeah, he was accusing me of wanting to go up the ladder.
And you said...
And I asked him if that's what he really thinks of me.
I think we're all a bunch of snakes, dear brother, and you're no different no matter how far away you travel.
Okay.
We come from the same loins, you and I, and whether you like it or not, you're stuck with me.
For at least another 2 days? I'm here trying to rescue you. Remember, of the two of us, I've always been a good brother to you. Stay down here and think about what you've done.
Oh, and I do, dear brother.
I'll try to keep your head on your shoulders.
He turns away and lays back down on the bed and puts his arm back over his eyes. And with the other hand, he kind of, get to it, brother. Save me.
I'm going to run straight to Duke's Low. He did it. He's happy. Cut his head off. All right.
Cut both his heads off.
No, but so let me do. Can we go back in time a bit and I can do an insight to see if I detect any sort of dishonesty?
Yeah, go for it.
Because, just he strikes me as the kind who be honest. The worse it is, the more he likes being honest about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Your brother lies by omission, but not directly.
Yeah.
So with this insight, you know that he was telling the truth to you in private, with basically wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
He did do the act to the best of his knowledge. He's not denying that.
Mm-hmm.
But he is also truthful in the fact that something was afflicting him with that. And he makes no excuses for that, right? He knows it's a vile act. He doesn't really care.
Right.
That's just his nature. He's a psychopath, probably at the heart of it, but a sociopath for sure. The thing that strikes you odd is that violence or a sexual nature doesn't really seem to be his thing.
Yeah.
And then that's not saying that you would put it past him, but he just doesn't really ever bullying, torture. These are things that would be in his wheelhouse, but an actual sexual violence.
Mm-hmm.
That is what strikes you odd about this. You remember a time right before he left where they were joking about becoming men, and they were looking for a whore in and around the city of Castrum, or that is bordering Castrum Fluminus. And they couldn't find one in one of the boys in his group that you were kind of on the coattails of being in.
Mm-hmm.
Joked that his sister was sure to bet anyone, be it sailor or common sailor or noble. And so they sought her out. And you didn't get invited to that, but you did see some of the fallout in which many of those friends vanished. You don't think it was violence in that case, but they were driven away because something occurred that he just didn't seem to enjoy.
Yeah.
Right. He is so awkward that it hit him the wrong way. He was unable to seal the deal, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So the nature of this is what is kind of striking you odd. Like, unless he has changed greatly, and so far he hasn't seemed to, a sexual assault just doesn't seem to be like torture. Yeah. You could picture that, and you suspect that there probably is something along those lines as well. But the sexual nature of it is what's throwing you off.
Okay. Yeah, I was expecting something like, they caught him torturing baby goats or something.
No.
Not something like this, or even that he'd got angry and killed someone he shouldn't have in a fight or something.
Now, here is the other part of it. He is sneaky.
Yeah.
When it comes to his various devious actions, he likes to bully and lord over those he views lesser, which you were kind of. Sometimes you were lesser, sometimes you weren't. So he never went full out on you, but you've seen some haunted looks in various friends' faces over the years. But he's sneaky, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's another thing.
Like it's one of those where rumors would spread about that Velix boy.
Yeah.
But no proof. And this is, it's too daring. Like I said, though, he's not making excuses for it. He's owning up to it, but he's saying that it's not all what's cracked up to be, basically.
Okay.
So you can take for that what you will.
Yeah.
He's still probably going to get gelded.
Yeah, probably, but I still should at least do my level best to discover what exactly was done. If some outside influence is to blame, some drug.
Okay.
Some concoction or whatnot. So I guess that's what I need to do. So after this was going to go speak with my father's men on the north side of the river.
Okay.
First, I'll stop out in the courtyard where Chelsea is.
Okay.
I want him to go with me. I want him to be with me, but I want to apprise him of everything that's going on. And I want him to send some of our men out into the world to look for Wesley.
Right.
I need Wesley Iokomos.
Iokomos, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the southern encampment. So,
okay. Yeah.
So they can go looking amongst him.
So tell him I want to speak with him, and then And then the ones who aren't going to find him, I need some people to see if we've got any, what are they called in this world? Apothecary.
Apothecary will work.
Druggist or
Apothecary. The word that we can never pronounce, chirurgeon.
Chirurgeon, yeah.
Chirurgeon would work.
alchemists.
You know of the royal alchemists. They would be skilled in all manner of this stuff.
Yeah, something like that. If there's anybody and all these people around here, well, then maybe we can start asking what sort of substances would lead to this sort of activity. So that's my plan.
All right, and that's where we'll stop with you for now. Do you want to call it here?
It'd probably be the safest.
All right, that's where we'll stop for the day then. I hope you guys had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Got a mystery to solve.
Thank you for playing.
To save somebody I don't like.
Roll your skills. Roll against one of your skills. Wait a sec. Yeah, one of your skills. And if you fail, you get plus 1d4.
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.